the senior minister at First Christian Church, coming to you live for our midweek devotion. We hope that you hear a word of grace. What's to come? God won't give you more than you can handle. It's a saying that's pretty ubiquitous in some Christian circles. I think it is said to try and pump someone up going through a rough patch or facing a particularly difficult situation. It's meant to instill confidence, not only in God, but themselves, that they have the strength to go on. Marriage, suddenly on the rocks. God won't give you more than you can handle. Kids start acting out more and more in destructive ways. God won't give you more than you can handle. Your car breaks down and you don't know if you really have the money to fix it. God won't give you more than you can handle. The problem with this saying is that it's not biblical. It's not in there. Like God helps those who help themselves, you won't find it anywhere in the good book. It sounds like it should be in there, but it's not. The closest thing I can think of scripturally comes from Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 13, where he wrote, "No temptation has seized you." That isn't common for people, but God is faithful. He won't allow you to be tempted beyond your abilities. Instead, with the temptation, God will also supply a way out so that you will be able to endure it. Now, Paul here isn't talking about the trials we face day in and day out that test our patience or our resolve or our stress levels or our ability to continue on. Instead, he's providing confidence for a people beset with the temptation of idolatry. That idea that you're going to substitute something for God by making it the most important thing in your life. And Paul knows that everyone, absolutely everyone, Christian or not, is tempted to do it. We substitute God for things like security or citizenship or family or political party or comfort or wealth or fun experiences or whatever. We make these the end goal of our life, the enduring framework by which we live. That all things in our life are pointed in that direction. And it's through them that one finds their satisfaction. That's what it means to worship an idol. Now, these things aren't bad per se. It's not bad to find meaning in being a good husband or wife. It's not bad to be proud of the country you live in and want it to be better than what it is. It's not bad to want to avoid the bad things in life. We all want those things. It's just that when we make them our end goal, they can never live up to what we put in them. And Paul is warning his small and fractious church of this reality. He's also reminding them of God's faithfulness, that God is faithful even when we aren't. It's from 2 Timothy 2:13. God won't stop loving the people he's writing to, and God will even supply a way out to endure the temptation, God's faithfulness. But this is a far cry from God won't give you more than you can handle. That's a maudlin saying that actually centers on us, on humanity, not on God. It's less about what God does for us and more about what we can do for ourselves. It's about what we can handle and not what God can and will do for us. No, Paul is instead talking about endurance, enduring the worst of the world while still maintaining faith and a relationship with God. He says that we can endure because Jesus will never leave nor forsake us. Even if we are brought to the end of ourselves in a very real way, we can trust that God has not abandoned us. If the cross, Jesus' death and resurrection, means anything, it means that death in all its forms will not have the last word. God will and does. Now, we might not like coming face to face with the death of ourselves, our power, our plans, our control. I don't know anyone who does. But it is only there at that end, when we are at the end of our rope, that we find true strength. It isn't a strength in ourselves, but in another. It's a strength and a power that raises the dead. As Robert Capon once wrote, Jesus is not the helper of the moral, the corrector of the wayward, or the instructor of the ignorant. He is the resurrection and the life. He is the one who raises the dead. The dead are his cup of tea. When we feel like we're at the end of ourselves, that is just where Christ finds us. And so instead of God will help, God will never give you more than you can handle, maybe we should look into more biblical sort of saying. Matthew 11, verses 28 through 30 is a much better guide than any trite saying for when the world is pressing in upon you and you are feeling overwhelmed. Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are struggling hard and carrying heavy loads, and I will give you rest. Put on my yoke and learn from me. I'm gentle and humble, and you will find rest for yourselves. My yoke is easy to bear, and my burden is light." Cast your tears and your fears on Jesus, because he will provide rest. In him and his good news, you will find respite for your soul. His yoke isn't like the ones hoisted upon us from the world, because he has taken the burden of it on himself. Yes, there will be things you have to endure, and that's okay. You can trust both that, one, you won't be alone, and two, you won't be left there. God has already supplied a way for you. If it's not in this life, it will be in the next. Thanks be to God for that. Thanks for joining me for this week's midweek devotion. A little bit longer. Hope you stuck with me. You're invited to join us for worship this Sunday morning at 10:30. But if not, our benediction is the same as always. God be with you till we meet again.